a lot of uncomfortable comfort going on there down in Miami if Tua is going to be the guy and getting the support from the coaches. So, Sam, I'm going to start with you. This team came that close to being a playoff team in the AFC East. Are they a playoff team in Tua Tagovailoa's second year?
No, they're not. And let me tell you why. You said they came that close to being a playoff team. In the games, Week 17, the game they had to win to get in a lot of ways, they lost by 30. Lost by 30. And so that's number one. Number two, Swagoo, I just heard you talk about all these great quarterbacks in the AFC. You talked about Baker Mayfield. You talked about Lamar Jackson. You talked about Josh Allen. You talked about Justin Herbert. You talked about all these quarterbacks. And Tua is not in that conversation. So when it comes to like Miami making the playoffs, like I was hoping they would make it last year. Yes, a top 6 defense in the NFL. Their defense is phenomenal. But with or without Tua, this team has to prove to me that they can make the playoffs when it counts. We saw Indy get in last year when it counted. We saw Baltimore get in last year when it counted. All those teams that are on the brink. Yes, we know the top 3 or 4 are automatically going to make it. We know that. But when it counts, when it matters, when the game is on the line the most, Miami didn't do it. Miami didn't do it. And so if you got, whether it's Tua or whoever else, I don't care who's back there, Miami didn't do it. And so when you go back and turn the tape on and say, okay, I want to see who's going to be there when it counts, when it matters, I'm picking Pittsburgh. I'm picking Cleveland. Even now, I'm picking Cleveland. I'm picking Tennessee. I'm picking even the Colts. Like, there are so many teams where you say they would do it over Miami. And so just statistically by the numbers and saying, man, 7 get in, I don't think Miami's in that top 7.
I do. And the reason I do is because of defense. Like, everybody makes this whole thing about Tua and everything. I think the Miami Dolphins are now starting to hit a stride. And last year, when they were going back and forth with Fitzmagic and Tua, that is not conducive to any type of continuity. I love Gesicki. I think Jalen Waddle is going to change the whole dynamic of what they do from an offensive standpoint. And I'm one of those guys that think Tua is going to be a really good quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. I was high on Tua coming out of college. I thought he had to make some improvement like all other rookies. But when I look at Brian Flores and when I look at what Chris Greer, the general manager, has done, and you think about what these dudes did defensively last year, I believe Tua will be a better quarterback with the time that he's had in this system. I believe his defense will be even better this year when you start talking about getting Xavier Howard back. That was the key for me this offseason. Will they be able to manage that relationship, get it to a place where they can get one of the top corners in the league, if not the best corner? He's the best at taking the football away. And you see what they were able to accomplish last year in a crazy year. And the craziness for me about Tua is this dude, I believe, has thrown like 540 passes total in his career, and we ready to send him to the crib. He ain't good enough. He doesn't have what it takes because it wasn't sizzling. It wasn't coming out of the gate hot. It just wasn't one of those things. And Justin Herbert balled out in Los Angeles with the Chargers. The bottom line is this. When you look at the Miami Dolphins team and how they're constructed, they're built almost in the same image of the New England Patriots. And I believe that wild card spot will be there up for grabs when it's all said and done at the end of the season. Playmaking was their issue from an offensive standpoint. Tua is good enough. Arm is right. Jalen Waddle in this offense. Gesicki coming back. These guys are going to surprise some people. And look, I'm going to say this now. I do believe the New England Patriots are going to vie to win the AFC East. I do think this team and what they did, and it ain't all about Mac Jones. Everybody know I'm on record. Mac Jones has been phenomenal, but he'll be insulated by what Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels does from a philosophy standpoint and how they want to play football. But when you get to the point where you got to play the Miami Dolphins, and if Tua is playing at a little above average, you know how tough that out going to be to get through that defense? And Lord have mercy, don't let them start scoring points offensively. I think people forgot how good the Miami Dolphins defense was last year because we got so enamored with what was happening with the Buffalo Bills. The bottom line is this. Tua takes a step. I think he's in that same line with all of these other young guys in the league that can play at a high level. And this defense will carry the Miami Dolphins. I think one of the wild card spots will be occupied by them. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's because Tua played well and that defense was lights out.
Real quick, and Marcus, you can start first, and Sam, you can jump in after this. How much pressure is going to be ratcheted on not so much Tua Tagovailoa, but maybe the Dolphins organization by what Justin Herbert did in year 1 for the Chargers and what the Patriots are doing in year one, having Mac Jones as their starting quarterback and not Cam Newton?
More about Justin Herbert, Freddie C, because that's the comparison, right? When these guys were coming out of the draft, so many questions about Justin Herbert, what he would be on the next level. He was athletic. He was in an Oregon offense that didn't allow him to have all of the gaudy numbers. Tua at Alabama. Threw for 1 million yards, won national championships. We talked about his arm strength, his ability to place the ball. We talked about all those things. Suffers an injury, right? And people start, hey, where is he going to go now? Is the injury going to cause Tua to drop? No, Miami said, look, we've seen enough of Tua Tagovailoa to make sure that he's in the right situation. And listen, I wasn't in love with what Brian Flores did last year. I wasn't in love with the fact that they had to split time and he never knew if he was going to be in a full game or people don't know how difficult it is if you're not playing well in the first quarter. You're looking over your shoulder wondering if they're going to send the vet in. That's not conducive to having success in this league. I'm not talking about a 2-quarterback system. It's a totally different thing than what they did in Miami last year. Tua now, this is his team. He talked about it. Flores has promoted him, talked about he's the guy, he's preparing to get the fellas ready. It's about Justin Herbert and Tua when we have the long conversation. But right now, when we look at this division and what the New England Patriots did and how everybody is excited about Mac Jones being a quarterback, Tua gets a little lost. But remember this. Brian Flores coached for the New England Patriots. Brian Flores has a quarterback from Alabama. And you don't think Nick Saban's phone worked when Brian Flores called, just like it works when Bill Belichick calls? They have a great understanding about what Tua is going to be in this offense. And I think they just playing coy right now.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.